There is a superhero/thriller film that was released in the year 2000 called Unbreakable. While its plot and characters are not what's important for this video, I do want to bring attention to one particular scene. The main character, David, played by Bruce Willis, sits quietly on a train. After a brief interaction with another passenger, the train quickly derails and is hit by another oncoming train, killing everyone on board. Everyone except David. He became the sole survivor of that disaster. Please imagine, if you would, how you would feel in a situation like that. You may experience a psychological phenomenon called survivor syndrome, unwarranted guilt for remaining alive while those around you had perished. You may also be plagued with questions regarding mortality, fate, or even God. In this new short series I'm trying out, we're going to take a look at a few sole survivors of various different tragedies, the background, the event, and what happened to the individuals afterward. 1 survivor. And what better way to start than with a person who survived a 10,000-foot fall from a plane and braved a hostile jungle environment for 11 days without help. Juliane Margaret Koepcke was born in Peru to successful zoologists Hans-Wilhelm and Maria. They did a lot of research in and around the city of Lima and even set up their own research facility deep in the jungle called Panguana. Due to mostly being homeschooled by her parents, Juliane spent a lot of time in the Amazon rainforest, and so was aptly familiar with its potentially inhospitable environment. This would turn out to be useful considering the disaster that would later befall her. It was Christmas Eve, 1971. 17-year-old Juliane, along with her mother, boarded a Lockheed passenger plane, LANSA Flight 508. The flight path was to Iquitos, with a stopover at Pucallpa. It would never complete this journey. It's important to note that LANSA, as a commercial airline, did not have a good track record. In its 8-year history up until that point, LANSA had already been responsible for 150 aviation deaths spread across 2 previous incidents. Unperturbed, Juliane and her mother still took the flight. While there were no initial issues during and after takeoff, after about an hour of flight, the plane found itself in the midst of a violent thunderstorm. Juliane recalls the turbulence was very bad and that the plane shook violently. Then there was a sudden flash as lightning struck the left side of the plane. Passengers were screaming and crying in fear when Juliane looked toward her mother and heard her utter something truly terrifying. "Now it's all over." The plane began to plummet toward the ground, and as it did so, it fragmented. Maria fell away from her seat and was separated from Juliane, who was still belted into her own seat. The plane opened up, and Juliane's seat row, along with various debris, fell through the sky at a speed of roughly 100 miles an hour until it finally landed in the Amazon rainforest. After roughly 20 hours of unconsciousness, Juliane at some point freed herself from her seat and tried to get her bearings. Despite falling roughly 10,000 feet, the only injuries Juliane got were a broken collarbone, a concussion, swollen eye, a few cuts, and a deep gash on her arm, which had already started getting infected with maggots. Wearing only a sleeveless dress and a single shoe, Juliane made her way through the dense jungle. She started following a nearby stream. Based on what her father told her previously, following the course of flowing water would eventually lead to a bigger one, that could ultimately lead to civilization. But after 10 days, Juliane was extremely weak, exhausted, and delirious. Also, her wounds were getting more and more infected. Eventually, she stumbled upon a small hut with a motorized canoe where she took refuge. After treating her maggot-infested arm using nearby kerosene, Juliane spent the night in the hut. The following morning, she was discovered by some foresters to whom the hut and surrounding camp belonged. They fed her, further treated her wounds, then a day later she was taken to hospital. After one further day, she was reunited with her father. While there were others who also survived the LANSA Flight 508 disaster, including Juliane's own mother, they would all succumb to their injuries before they could be rescued. Out of 92 people, Juliane was the only survivor of that crash. While Juliane stated that initially she had nightmares and suffered badly from survivor syndrome for months after the incident, she would go on to make a full recovery, both physically and mentally. She moved to Germany with her father to continue her studies, eventually becoming a zoologist herself. She got married in 1989 and would take over the running of the Panguana Research Center in the year 2000 after her father passed away. For several years, Juliane initially avoided press attention and refused to give any interviews. But in later years, she did write a book about her experiences and even returned to the crash site and explored the area for the purposes of the documentary called Wings of Hope. Now in her 70s, Juliane continues to live in Germany and now works as a librarian.